Good morning. Welcome to the Splash Live, a show dedicated to the people, places, and events happening in the greater West Bloomfield community. I'm Rene. Thank you so much for sharing your morning with us. If you've had to navigate Orchard Lake Road near Middlebelt lately, well, you couldn't avoid the construction chaos. The construction to resurface the road got underway a couple of weeks ago, and traffic in both directions is shifted to one lane while the work is being done, which is expected to last well into the fall. With us to talk more about the project and others going on in the area, Craig Bryson, Senior Communication Manager for the Oakland County Road Commission. Great to have you with us. Happy Wednesday to you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Great to be here.
Okay, as someone who has to drive this little stretch of road every single day, oh, it's so frustrating. But you hear it all the time.
Yep, we do. But it's also one of the necessary evils of road improvements, unfortunately.
So, Craig, the one thing that I hear from so many people, it feels like we just did this stretch of road not long ago. How do you answer those questions?
It's been decades since we redid this particular section. And this is not only putting a new surface on the road, but making some significant safety improvements as well. So this is more than just a resurfacing. It is a resurfacing, but it's more than that as well.
So with that, I understand you guys are going to change and add a lane. Talk about that.
Sure. So sections of this portion of the road currently have a center left turn lane and sections do not. So the 4-lane section, which is basically from Pontiac Drive west to about the location of the old elementary school, is a 4-lane road with no center left turn lane. That is a less than ideal situation because you have people wanting to make left turns, have to stop in the through lanes. So we see increased rear end collisions with those situations. So we're adding a center left turn lane throughout that section. We're also removing, there's a center island near Pontiac Drive. We're taking that out and making that a center left turn lane there as well. So the entire section will have a center left turn lane once we're completed, which is a much safer configuration for that section of road. So
how long is this headache going to be with us?
Well, at this point, realistically, we're thinking probably late September. Of course, all that is dependent upon weather and contractor issues, but at the moment, that's what it's looking like.
Well, fingers crossed for that, because one of the things that makes it more of a challenge is there's really kind of no way around. So you do get stuck in the traffic. But that's not the only construction that's going on along Orchard Lake Road, because when you get further down near, I think it's Maple, but then again at 1413 in front of the shopping center, there's construction there as well.
Correct. So that's a major project. That's probably our biggest project this year, between 13 and 14 mile. We're both repaving and reconstructing a portion of that road. We're putting a roundabout in at the entrance to the driveway, just north of halfway between the 13 and 14 mile roads. And then the section north of the roundabout up to 14 mile will be a divided boulevard when we're done. So that's a major project. Northbound is closed throughout construction. Southbound remains open, and access to all the businesses is via the southbound lanes there.
So can you talk about the roundabouts? I personally don't mind them, especially once you get used to them. If you go to Europe, they've had roundabouts for decades. It's just how they get along. And I know that some people don't like them, but the numbers show they're actually safer.
Absolutely. And we do hear every time we propose one, we hear a lot of people that don't like them. And we understand that it's different. It's new. It takes a little bit of getting used to. But as you mentioned, the numbers are undeniable. Numerous organizations, including the Federal Highway Administration, the Michigan Department of Transportation, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, many groups have demonstrated that roundabouts result in about a 90% reduction in traffic fatalities at intersections. And that's huge. If we can eliminate 90% of the traffic deaths, we've really accomplished something. And that's the main reason we like them. Secondly, they move a lot more traffic a lot more effectively, so you have less congestion because you've got traffic going at all times in all directions. You know, at a signal, you've got traffic stopped 50% of the time in one direction or the other. So this improves traffic flow and safety at the same time.
And I don't mind them too because they get rid of that Michigan left. I don't
Absolutely.
came up with that Michigan left.
Right. And I love them because you're not sitting there at a red light for nearly as long as you would be at a traditional signalized intersection. You wait for the yield opportunity, and then you go. It's a continually flowing process. And I greatly appreciate that part of it.
So I know one of the other upcoming road projects has to do with Cass Lake Road. It was shut down completely going into Waterford, connecting Kegel Harbor and Waterford. It's making a return in August. How long is that expected to last? Because I know for some of the businesses, they really, they hurt because they don't have that access.
Absolutely. And we appreciate that. And we're trying to do everything we can to minimize the time it's closed. But it will be probably into October or November. That's a major culvert replacement, replacing the culvert between the two lakes there. And unfortunately, it's unavoidable to close the road. When you rip out a culvert, there's, as you might imagine, a big hole in the road and you can't get through. So, but again, we are sensitive to their concerns. We've talked to the businesses in that area, and we're going to get it done as quickly as we can and get out of there. That'll be starting in August at some point.
And I know for some businesses, if you can kind of talk a little bit about this, they say that business does go down. It does hurt them, but what can they do to try to get financial reimbursement for the loss of revenue during that time? Because I believe the state doesn't offer that, correct?
Right. And that's a great question. And we hear that all the time. And unfortunately, the inevitable reality is that every road eventually will be worked on. So wherever you have a business, eventually the road in front of your business will be worked on. That's an inevitability of roads in Michigan. We do not receive any funding to reimburse any businesses for the loss of business during that construction. We empathize, we sympathize, and we encourage our contractors to get the work done as quickly as possible, but we simply don't have the resources to reimburse them. You know, if you can imagine, every project that we do impacts some business to some degree, and it would tremendously increase the cost of those businesses if we had to reimburse them. But having said that, as you said, there are things they can do, and we've seen some really creative solutions from some of the businesses. They have, road construction sales. They'll send flyers or mailings or emails out to their regular customers that they have a list. They'll use social media to remind people that they're open, to highlight special deals they're having during those times. Anything they can do to bring people in, get them aware of the fact that they're still open is certainly good. And we encourage everybody to maybe crank up your marketing a little bit during these periods.
Yeah, Craig, I told him that we should get creative and, get a paddle board and paddle people back and forth. Make a little bit, $5. I'll take you a ride over back and forth. Although if we're talking October, November, that could get a little cold.
That's true. Although I did talk to one business who said he was seriously considering talking to his neighbors across the road who had a link to across the canal there. Great, do it and publicize it.
Right. And get a little bit of extra cash there as well.
Right.
So can we talk about the money for some of these projects? I know that in some cases, it's really kind of, you're pulling from, federal, local, state to make these projects happen.
Yeah, most of them are a combination of funding. Obviously, wherever possible, we would like to use federal funding. That's the best way to do it, though it comes with some additional hoops and red tape. And traditionally, it only covers 80% of the cost. So traditionally, what we do on those projects is we'll split the remaining 20% with the community. So the community will pay 10% and we'll pay 10%. Oakland County General Government is also very good. We have a joint program called the Tri-Party Program, where we put in a third of the money. Oakland County General Government puts in a third of the money, and the local community puts in a third of the money. And a lot of the local communities use that to come up with their match of the 20% left over after federal funding. So instead of paying 20% of the cost, they're paying 3.5% of the cost, which is a great deal for the communities. But we'll look under every rock for any kind of funding we can. There are sometimes federal grants for safety issues. There are occasional state grants. There's bridge funding that's separate from road funding. So we'll do anything we can to get road funding, and there simply is not enough of it out there. But we're always looking for any that's available.
So when it comes to the funding, are you seeing, like so many other businesses, that the cost has gone up due to employee shortage and supply shortage?
Oh, it's skyrocketing. We're getting hit really hard. We're seeing anywhere from 10 to 30% increases in contractor bids on projects, and that's due to, the asphalt is a petroleum-based product, so petroleum prices are going through the roof, as we all know. Labor prices are up. Steel is up. Steel is needed for culverts and bridges, and for rebar in the roads. So all of those prices are really going up, and it makes it very difficult. And it means next year we'll be doing less work than we were doing this year because the money simply doesn't go as far.
And that's where we hope Mother Nature kind of cooperates so you can get the work done quicker. And also, like in the winter months, less money for road salt and crews and this, that, and the other. So if Mother Nature cooperates, maybe it won't be quite so painful.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. When we save money on winter, when we have a mild winter and we don't buy as much salt, or we don't have as much overtime for plowing and salting, that money does go into resurfacing projects the following year typically. So we love to see that. Anytime Mother Nature allows that, we're all for it.
So with that, Craig, I would imagine, are you guys hiring right now? How are things looking in that arena for you?
We are. We're looking for truck drivers and laborers. We ask that they have a commercial driver's license with an A designation, air brake designation. So that's a CDLA. And we're hiring right now. If anybody wants a job and they have that CDLA, please go to our website and fill out an application.
Craig, how can people keep up on some of these road projects? Because I think, wasn't there an app that was coming out?
There is. We just updated our app. It's a great app. It's got lots of information. You can sign up through the app and through our website for alerts. So we'll send you either text or email alerts to update you on projects. You can follow our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're even getting into TikTok a little bit, so we've got some great TikTok videos out there. So those are some of the ways to get the most instantaneous updates on our projects.
Hey, you guys have been pretty creative on your social media. I know there's been a couple cases where drivers have gone beyond the barriers, barricades, and ended up in not such a good spot.
Absolutely. We're amazed every time this happens, but we've had people drive into wet cement and get stuck. We've had people drive around barriers and literally go into rivers. And when we say the road is closed, it's for a good reason. We ask that people please respect that the road is closed and don't go around the barriers.
Lesson learned the hard way.
Absolutely.
In so many cases, right? But I love that. I'm going to have to check out your TikTok, but I love the app because there's nothing worse than running into that wall-to-wall traffic and you didn't see the signs far enough down the road. So you're stuck in it. You can't get off the road to try to navigate around it. So yep. That's a huge, huge help. So Craig, it's always great talking to you. Anything maybe I didn't ask that you want to share?
Let's see. Not that I can think of. We're just hoping to get as much work done as possible, and we appreciate everybody's patience as we do it. And when we're done, the roads will be better.
It's so painful to live through, though. It really is, especially when it's in your backyard.
Absolutely.
Well, Craig, Bryson, again, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And your website for everyone.
www.rcocweb.org or rcocweb.org.
Well, Craig, Bryson, thanks again for your time. We appreciate it. Thanks for the update. And again, I know a lot of people take their frustrations out on you and your staff, but it's going to be better when it's done.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Happy day to you.
You too.
You're watching The Splash Live, a show dedicated to all things West Bloomfield, Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake. You can catch the show live Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. and on demand on civiccentertv.com. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
It's peaceful, it's quiet, and the noise and stress of life can sometimes disappear.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
It's for our health and safety, it's for our economy, it's for protecting the environment that we all enjoy and we all need to survive.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
We're all about one water in this region. We're all connected. We all have a role.
And now, back to the Splash, live.
Don't you love the music? It's just like uplifting. It gets you going for the day. Hey, taking a look at what's happening around town. West Bloomfield received recognition for its environmental actions as part of the 2021 Michigan Green Communities Challenge. West Bloomfield was one of 44 local governments to be awarded Seals of Achievement. They received the silver status for planning, energy efficiency, recycling, and water conservation, as well as protection. Great job to the city of West Bloomfield, taking care of our environment. Hey, West Bloomfield, class of 1980. It is a reunion time. Catch up with old friends and share your life stories. The reunion takes place Saturday, July 9th from 6:30 p.m. until 11:30 p.m. It's going to be happening over at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Detroit and Livonia. Spots are still available. You can find out more information on Facebook. We don't want to add up the years, right? 1980. What a fun reunion. Hey, are you feeling crafty but need some inspiration? Head to Board and Brush in Sylvan Lake this Saturday from noon until 3 p.m. The DIY workshop will be hosting a class to create a wood project for your home or for a friend. You do need to register ahead of time, though, so you can do so through their website, boardandbrush.com. And of course, just a reminder, each week we like to highlight someone from the greater West Bloomfield community going above and beyond to improve our little corner of the world. Show your gratitude. Tell us about them. We've made it easy. You can scan the QR code on the screen if we can get that up, or just fill out the Google form with the person's contact info and why you think they should be recognized. It could be a person, a business, an organization, or a pet. You can also find the form by going to civiccentertv.com. And with that, when we come back, Stacie Rene will give us some midweek motivation. That's here next on the Splash Lot.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Teens a day die from texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
And now, back to the Splash, live.
Okay, so physically, you're back at work, but mentally, you're still in vacation mode. How do you shift back to reality with excitement and enthusiasm? Our good friend Stacie Rene, motivational and mindset coach, joins us this morning to get us back in the groove. Great to have you with us, Miss Stacie Rene. How are you today?
I am great, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you and help educate and give so many people a different perspective on how to handle something that could potentially help them throughout their day.
So for so many of us, like I'm sitting here like, oh wait, it's Wednesday, or is it Thursday? No, it's Tuesday. No, it's Wednesday, because you're back at work, but you're still recovering from vacation and your mind is still there. How do we put it behind us and get excited about being back at work?
That is a great question. And so many of us, we love vacation and we thrive and we work really hard to take these vacations. And then you're like, oh, I have the vacation brain. How do I get back into it? And it can really take a toll on you. And of course, as I'm going to say, being everything is in your mindset is truly your mindset and how you're going to handle if you're going to go back to the Monday blues. Well, okay, just have your Monday blue, but move on, but there's a couple of really good tips that I think would help someone who's been on vacation for a week, coming back for a holiday weekend, whatever it may be. Because, some days you're going to be like, I really need to go back to work. I cannot wait because vacation was great, but, I really like my routine. So, I mean, we've all been there, right? And then some vacations, you're like, I really don't want to leave.
Right. Yeah, there are some times where you're like, okay, I'm ready for this to end. But I think summertime, it's a little bit harder than wintertime because the weather is so nice and we want to be outside and soaking up that sun.
Absolutely. And, I live on the lake, so it is really hard to sometimes decompress from being on the boat and, having that fun and just relaxing and not really thinking about what day it is, which is kind of a really beautiful experience to have when you're not so caught up in moment by moment, day by day. But, when you're going back to work, going back from vacation is prepare your personal life first. Think about, maybe on Sunday before you go back to the very busy days, what do you have personally that you need to get done? Get that organized, and that will take a lot of stress off of you. I mean, cut out an hour, know what your week's going to look like, going back into the workforce after being on vacation or having a long weekend. That hour is so critical in how your whole week is going to be planned. And getting your mind back into the routine of what you're used to. So I think that's a great tip. The other thing is getting back into work. When you go back to work, think of one small task that you can accomplish, and then you're setting yourself up for success. Because if you're going through the whole work day and you're like, oh man, I did not accomplish one thing, that can kind of, detour you from wanting to do better at work or getting back in the swing of it. So one small successful task will make your day. Wouldn't you agree?
For my husband, when he takes a vacation, he always takes like an extra day on that back end just to do that, to get mentally prepared to go back into the office. It's those little things, right? When you come back, you always have a mountain of laundry to do. And, there's typically no food in the refrigerator. And so you have to worry about the errands. So it's that mental part of saying, okay, I have an extra day. Let me get all my little chores done.
Right.
And then head back into the office without worrying about juggling work and still doing the errands that you need to do.
Right. And that's kind of my tip number 4 is to take a buffer day. Because you need, and if you can do that helps you out so much. So we try and do vacation Saturday to Saturday. One, because it gives me that day to, do laundry, to get everything around the house done, to kind of prepare myself so I'm not, coming back and having everything thrown at me. And it is a lot less stressful, and you actually enjoy your vacation more when you have that buffer day and you can get everything done and you get more prepared for the week. So I would definitely give him high kudos for doing that. And then, my tip number 3 is actually remove distractions. When you're on vacation or you're just browsing around on your phone, you get caught up in binge watching things. I do, binge watching Netflix is a huge deterrent for me and a big distraction. Getting on TikTok, it's that mental like, oh, senseless things, but this is funny, this is great, and that happens to us so often, and that's including Facebook. Well, what is everyone else doing from vacation? You really just need to decompress and shut it off. because it will truly help you focus to get back on track and get ready for your week and have a more successful week. And if you can do that, whether you're on vacation or not, shut it off and maybe give yourself a time limit and don't go over the time limit, because I've done that. And next thing I know, it's like 3 hours later. I'm like, this is not what I had planned and I'm not digging this.
Just a couple more minutes here with you, Stacie. I think I saw a study once and they were talking about employees were actually more productive if they turned off their phones and their emails and completed a task. Than if they had it next to them and they were constantly being, interrupted with the dings or, because in today's world, you're expected to answer an email or your phone at the drop of a hat.
Absolutely. And that is a huge deterrent, but by all means. So with only a couple of minutes left, I'm just going to remind you of a couple of tips. And that is, one, prepare yourself, your personal life first. Number two is, when you go back to work, set up something for yourself to have a small accomplishment so you feel good for the day and prepare yourself for the week. 3 is remove distractions. 4 is to try and take a buffer day if you can. And then 5 is if you can clean out your emails before you go to work, or just focus in, hone in, take an hour and clean those all off. You won't be so overwhelmed and frustrated. Have a piece of paper next to you if you need, and jot some idea, some things that you need to follow up on. And then, my last one is just number 6 is say thank you. Thank you for a great week that you had. Thank you for all the things that you have that were the goodness, because there's so many people that would love to have a 4-day weekend or have a holiday or take a week off, and be grateful for what you have too, because it does help you. And then do something kind for someone. So those are my biggest tips, and hopefully that gave some people some ideas and get them back on track for their vacation or holiday weekend off.
Always great information. Again, Stacie, how can people find you?
They can find me on my website, stacierene.com, or Positive Shift Ahead. And of course, I have an app, so I'm always available. And if you need a mind shift, let me help you. Let me get you to the next step, because listen, as we know, we all could use some reminders, and that's what I'm there for.
You're always energetic and motivational as well. So thank you so much for our midweek pick-me-up.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for today's edition of The Splash Live. I want to say thank you to our guests today for taking time to be with us, and to you, our friends in Sylvan Lake, Eagle Harbor, Orchard Lake, and West Bloomfield for tuning in. And in case you didn't know, you can also catch The Splash Live on My Michigan TV. Have a great Wednesday, everyone. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning.